and welcome. Tonight, the President and the All Progressives Congress closed their defense in the petition filed by Mr. Peter Obi and Labour Party against their victory in the 2023 presidential election. House of Representatives sets up ad hoc committee to investigate allegations of resort forgery by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board against the candidate, Ms. Oma Ejikeme. The president backs $5 billion floating LNG project with the capacity to provide 7,000 direct jobs in the country, meets with joint venture partners behind the project in Abuja. And fear of more attacks in Jenin grows as funerals are held after 2 days of clashes between Palestinian fighters and Israeli troops in the refugee camp.
On business news tonight, the federal government announced its plan to recover over 500 billion naira unremitted petroleum shipping taxes owed by international petroleum shipping companies operating in Nigeria.
On sports news tonight, Tobilola Musong claims a fourth title at the national trials in Benin City ahead of the World Championship in Budapest.
And from the nation's capital, bandits kill another lawyer in Zamfara State after attacking his home at the Kotorkoshi town in Bungudu local government area in the early hours of today.
We begin from the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, where the court appears to be wrapping up its hearing. Today, the President and the All Progressives Congress closed their defense in the petitions filed by the Labour Party and its presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, as well as the People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. Counsel to the President, Bola Tinubu, and the APC, who called Senator Opeyemi Bamidele as their star witness, informed the court that they have established their case through the witness and do not need to call another witness in the matter.
As usual, the courtroom is filled with lawyers and supporters of the Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, the All Progressives Congress, President Bola Tinubu, and INEC. What has been a lengthy legal battle across party lines is now reaching its climax as parties involved in the petition conclude their cases before the presidential election petition sitting in Abuja. At Wednesday's hearing, counsel to President Bola Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress end their defense in the petition by the Labour Party, with a call on one witness, the current Senate Majority Leader, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele. The witness, who is a practicing attorney in New York, United States, says there can only be one conviction when there's a charge and indictment. He adds that the U.S. Embassy did a general criminal search on President Tinubu and found no criminal case against him. He further tells the court about a shortfall of 10,929 votes in the votes recorded for President Bola Tinubu in Kano State. Counsel to President Tinubu, Wole Olanipekun, also tenders 18 sets of documents, including the Labour Party's membership register for Anambra State, which the witness confirms did not contain the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi's name. This, according to him, indicates that he was not a member of the party at the time of contesting the last presidential election. The team also tendered the ECOWAS report on the election. Meanwhile, counsel to Mr. Peter Obi, Livy Ozuku, objects to the admission of the documents, but the court admits them. Counsel to the APC, Lateef Fagbemi, also closes his case, stating that his client is satisfied.
Now, it's very simple. The membership of His Excellency Peter Obi has been determined by the Federal High Court, and they went on to Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal confirmed the decision of the Federal High Court. So it's a no issue. It's a judgment in rem. It's a no issue.
Back in the courtroom, the petition of the People's Democratic Party is next. President Tinubu's witness in the Labour Party's petition, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, takes the stand once again. Under cross-examination, he tells the court that the president did not need to score 25% in the FCT to be declared winner of the election. Meanwhile, counsel to the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, Eyitayo Jagede, says Senator Tinubu will be the first person to emerge as president without scoring 25% of the votes in the FCT, and the only one who lost his state at the presidential election out of the 4 major presidential candidates. Shortly after, the counsel to the president and the APC, Wole Olanipekun and Lateef Fagbemi, announced the closure of their defense in the PDP Atiku petition. The 5-man panel, led by Justice Haruna Samani, subsequently orders the respondents to file their written addresses within 10 days and the petitioners to respond within 7 days. Date for the adoption of the final written addresses is to be communicated to the parties.
Meanwhile, the River State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal resumed sitting in the nation's capital with the hearing of the petition filed by Mr. Patrick Toye-Cole of the All Progressives Congress. The sitting was relocated to Abuja due to security concerns in the state. Another petition received by the tribunal is that of the governorship candidates of the Labour Party, Beatrice Tutubo, both challenging the victory of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The APC and the Labour Party had earlier secured ex-parte orders from the court to obtain the certified true copies of the election results and to inspect materials used in the conduct of the elections, but Mr. Toye-Cole claims INEC tried to frustrate their efforts.
We're happy that we have gotten to this day. In spite of everything that has been tried by the opposition, we're here, and the evidence has been tendered, and now witnesses are given their disposition. You see, everything that happened during the election was open for all to see. We now have to translate the violence, we have to translate the killings, we have to translate the election rigging, the hijack, to evidence in court, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're so grateful that this day has come because they tried everything to prevent today from happening. We even had to move the tribunal to Abuja because of that. And most people will know one of the biggest challenges is that the REC in Rivers State has obstinately refused to release all the documentation that we need. They have just tried to frustrate that process so that we don't have the evidence that that is required for us to prove the case to the fullest. But that notwithstanding, we know that we have enough to do.
Away from the courts, the president has declared his support for the implementation of a $5 billion floating liquefied natural gas project in Nigeria that has the capacity to provide 7,000 jobs in the country. The president gave the backing today when he received a group of joint venture partners, including UTM FLNG, Technip Energies and JGC Corporation in his office, alongside ambassadors of France and Japan to Nigeria. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Mizuke, reports.
4 weeks after President Bola Tinubu put a halt to the removal of fuel subsidy in the country, attention is apparently zeroed in on gas for succor and as a sustainable energy divergence. It is for this reason that the president began his day by receiving investors from the natural and petroleum gas sectors in the State House.
Please.
The investors, accompanied by the ambassador of France and deputy ambassador of Japan to Nigeria, wanted the president's backing for a floating liquefied natural gas plant, which could crash the cost of gas in the country.
Are you guys good?
The president, according to a statement released by the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Dele Alaki, says when the facility gets upstream by the fourth quarter of 2026, it would process 1.5 million metric tons of liquefied natural gas for foreign market and produce 300,000 metric tons of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, for domestic use. The investors reaffirmed their commitment to help Nigeria shore up her liquefied petroleum gas production capacity.
We've signed a $5 billion with Afreximbank for multiple floating LNG projects. Afreximbank is working on the financials and is aggregating both the debt and equity for this project. This project alone will deliver 25% of the requirement of LPG in country Nigeria. On the part of job creation, this project has the ability to create 7,000 jobs for Nigerians.
As our colleague explained to you, the floating LNG will be contributed decarbonization strategy of Nigeria.
The president also received in audience the 9th president of the Nigerian Senate and secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, who was accompanied by the former national publicity secretary of the PDP, Mr. Olisa Metu.
Yeah, it was a great honor to pay courtesy of the president, to congratulate him first and foremost for his successful inauguration as the 16th president of Nigeria, and also to encourage and congratulate him on the bold steps he had taken so far. So we had a whole lot of heart-to-heart discussions, but primarily is to congratulate him.
Came to see the president to commend him for his takeoff, very good takeoff, the policies he has done, his inclusiveness, and most of all to canvass for the idea of participatory governance, participatory democracy.
President Tinubu wrapped up his day with the visit of the APC national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, and the party's secretary, Dr. Iyola Omishure, at the State House. This visit comes hours after the national chairman disowned the list of the principal officers of the 10th National Assembly announced by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In other stories, the House of Representatives is wading into the allegation of result forgery leveled against the candidate, Ms. Mesoma Ejikeme, by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. The lawmakers are concerned that the exam body has acted in what they consider as unprofessional manner, saying that the young girl may have been manipulated by an adult. Meanwhile, the House has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the matter and is asking JAMB to stay action until investigation is concluded. Our correspondent Terry Kumi has more.
Plenary gets underway in the Green Chamber with the Deputy Speaker presiding. A number of investigative motions have been listed for debate. One of them is the allegation of result forgery against a minor, Ms. Mesoma Ejikeme.
Mr. Speaker, if we allow that institution to so reduce itself, no matter the circumstance, Mr. Speaker, it was an open challenge to our educational system and standard. I have watched, painfully so, sir, someone from the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board ascribing to itself the powers to accuse, the powers to investigate, and the powers to even prefer punishments without giving opportunities of fair hearing.
Lawmakers unanimously support the motion.
Innocent girl was being manipulated by adults in order to cash on the advantage.
So, Honorable Soda, what are you proposing?
So, what I'm proposing, Mr. Speaker, is this. Let's give this ad hoc committee an opportunity to come up with a thorough investigation.
So you're in support of the motion?
I'm in support of the motion.
All right,
so that we exonerate this girl. And I appeal to JAMB to soften the ban on this girl until the investigation is concluded.
Another matter for investigation is a potential land encroachment by the Cameroonian government in Cross River State.
I'm worried that the JTT has not located Pillar 113A and not tracing Pillar 113A. They are planning to adopt a straight line method which will lead to losing Danare and Biaga communities and about 7,000 to 10,000 hectares of land in Boki local government of Cross River State to the Republic of Cameroon. Also worried that if urgent actions are not taken by the federal government, the entire country will lose the good people of Danare, Biadra in Boki local government, and some parts of Obanliku, LG of Cross River State to the Republic of Cameroon.
Meanwhile, the House is to investigate an alleged mismanagement of personnel recruitment, employment racketeering, and gross mismanagement of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System of the federal government MDAs.
Public institutions have since stopped the process of advertising for jobs and vacancies. Even the few instances, Mr. Speaker, where adverts are published, the slots are already commoditized and available for the highest bidders. In other words, most public institutions now sell employment positions, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the qualification of the applicants and the ability of the applicant to perform optimally on the job.
The House set up an ad hoc committee mandated to report back within 4 weeks. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, we have more on the JAM forgery allegation as the government of Anambra State weighs in. Plus, Senate calls on relevant government agencies to release funds for the dredging of canals across the country after 9 months' prediction of heavy rainfall and flooding in parts of the North and the Federal Capital Territory. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. The President and the All Progressives Congress closed their defense in the petition filed by Mr. Peter Obi and Labour Party against their victory in the 2023 presidential election. House of Representatives sets up ad hoc committee to investigate allegation of resort forgery by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board against the candidate, Ms. Omar Ejikeme. The President backs $5 billion floating LNG project with capacity to provide 7,000 direct jobs in the country, meets with joint venture partners behind the project in Abuja. In fear of more attacks in Jenin grows as funerals are held after 2 days of clashes between Palestinian fighters and Israeli troops in the refugee camp. The Anambra State government has weighed into the UTME resort forgery allegation against Ms. Omar Ejikeme by JAM. In a statement by the Commissioner for Information, Mr. Paul Nwosu, the state government frowns on the action of JAM in going public with an issue it says was still under investigation by the Department of State Services. The government explains further that it has set up a committee to investigate the matter and promises to disclose the outcome of the inquiry to the public. Meanwhile, the clerical senior secretary of the Anglican Diocese of Nnewi, Venerable Godfrey Motanya, says the diocese would stand by Ms. Omar's family to avoid any form of dehumanization pending the outcome of the secret police investigation. We also understand that Ms. Omar Ejikeme has since admitted that she scored 249.
We are not to advocate for them. But we don't want a situation where somebody is a kind of dehumanized. We want to know the actual truth about the matter because, this kind of a thing. People will pressurize them and they are poor family. So as a church, we cannot leave them like that. We must find out what actually happened. So that is why we are being behind them. We don't have any business in this, actually, but they are human beings. They are human beings. They are people like us. We must be at their back, at least to understand actually what is happening. Apart from that, we don't have any other business with the matter. It's an external examination board. So it is not internal examination board so that we can inquire about what is happening there. The DSS are into the matter. So we have no reason to talk about this matter, to make a statement, until after we have heard from the DSS as the body, the government body that has the right to do this kind of investigation.
And now to the environment. The Senate is asking relevant government agencies to release funds for the dredging of canals across the country to prevent flooding during the rainy season. The upper chamber made this call after considering a motion on the urgent need to intervene in the flooding challenge in Ugwu, Kwara and other parts of the country. Our correspondent Linda Kigwe reports.
It's a day after the President of the Senate announced the principal officers from the majority and minority parties to fill the offices in the Senate leadership. Legislative proceedings begin with a motion by the Senate Majority Whip, drawing the attention of the House to a motion he had raised in the 9th Assembly on the uneven disbursement of loan to the 6 geopolitical zones by the Development Bank of Nigeria. The Ninth Senate, after a series of meetings with the Nigerian Development Bank, the Bank of Industry, the Minister of Finance and other stakeholders, had recommended that the banks should reduce the criteria for assessing the loans, particularly for Nigerians in less developed states. But it appears that Senator Ndume was not satisfied with the outcome of the probe by the Ninth Senate.
This is a serious matter. 500 billion was distributed, and the other geopolitical zones got only 11%. My own region got only 1%. It's not a laughing matter. It's a serious matter that needs to be addressed. So when you say you have submitted the report and you ambush people to submit the report, only when those are interested are not there.
When they submitted the signature sheet to me for that report, you signed the report. Like any other, it was the only report I have seen that all the members of that committee signed.
The Senate President rules that the clerk investigate if the Senate's recommendations on this matter had been presented to the executive.
The ayes have it. The report is hereby stepped down.
Another topic before the Senate is the flooding issues in different parts of the country.
The Senate should please urge the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to revisit the proposed construction of Daisin Hausa Dam and the other dams, as the case may be, to take the flood water from Lagdo Dam in the Cameroon.
The FCT is not about dams. It's actually about development control, random buildings on flood channels, and channels that stop suddenly. So the solution to this is not just piecemeal.
At the conclusion of the debate, the Senate urges relevant ministries, departments and agencies to release funds for dredging blocked canals. The Senate also resolved that the proposed construction of dams be revisited to take in excess waters from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. Meanwhile, the matter of a possible rift among the senators came up, and the minority had to allay fears of any discord among its members after the Senate selected lawmakers to represent them in the Senate leadership. The Senate minority leader made his feelings known to journalists after a meeting of the caucus in the National Assembly.
The leadership will prioritize the human capital development of opposition members through strategic partnerships and collaborations.
The minority caucus also assures Nigerians that it will unite all opposition parties in the National Assembly to provide alternative viewpoints and oversight of the executive. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, which is warning of more heavy rainfall and flooding in the coming days in the northern parts of the country and the nation's capital. According to NIMET, the rains will have grave implications for residents of Trademore Estate, which have been recently battered by flood, and over 40 other estates. The Director General of the agency, Mr. Mansa Matazo, stated this on the sidelines of the signing of an MOU between the African Aviation and Aerospace University with the agency in Abuja.
The issue of extreme events in form of high volume of rainfall, high intensity rainfall, stronger storms and heat waves and other climate-induced diseases, which create a lot of challenges, especially with regards to environmental destruction, loss of livelihoods and infrastructure, including casualties. We've seen last year, Nigeria recorded more than $6 billion loss due to flooding. And what are those also advisories to mitigate the effects of that? As we've predicted last 3 days, that we're going to have extreme weather condition over the country. In the last 72 hours to date, we've seen in Katsina just last 24 hours, they received 178 millimeters of rain in less than 10 hours. And we've seen evidence of flash floods in Katsina. And last week also, we've seen evidence of flash floods in parts of Abuja, whereby Trademore Estate was submerged, and we got more than 100 houses destroyed by this. So true to our saying, and we're still expecting pockets of these extreme events across the country.
Now we have more stories from Abuja studios. Terry, it's over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Millicent. We'll go to security matters now. And on a sad note, in Zamfara State, armed bandits today killed a legal practitioner identified as Barrister Ahmad Abubakar in his home at Kotorkoshi town of Bungudu local government area of the state. It was gathered that the bandits invaded Mr. Abubakar's house around 12:20 a.m. and attacked him before he was eventually whisked away. The chairman of Zamfara State's chapter of the Nigerian Bar Association, Junaidu Abubakar, condemned what he terms the persistent attacks on its members by terrorists. In August 2022, another member of the bar, Barrister Benedict Tonji Azza, was murdered by gunmen in Gusau, the state capital. Meanwhile, in Benue State, 5 persons said to be herders have been arrested by the police for alleged kidnapping following a tip-off on their hideout in Ogbadigbo local government area of the state. The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Julius Okoro, who made this known while briefing journalists on the arrest and parade of the suspects, explained that 4 other farmers were arrested for cattle rustling. Well, still ahead on the news at 10, federal government announces plan to recover 553 billion naira unremitted petroleum shipping taxes owed by international petroleum shipping companies operating in Nigeria. That's on Business News. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the news at 10. The National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons has raised an alarm over the proliferation of illegal private security outfits allegedly parading themselves as authorized small arms and light weapons control organizations, especially in north-central Nigeria. The North-Central coordinator of the center, retired Major General Hamza Bature, stated this at a press briefing in Mina, the zonal headquarters of the center. He said findings by the center recently revealed that such organizations had gone as far as deceiving innocent citizens in Kogi State with the promise to give them jobs to assist in mopping up small arms and light weapons.
It's not just this center alone, but all security agencies are compelled to watch out for such people. The essence of this press briefing is to tell you that this particular outfit is not legitimate and could go outside to create more confusion in the minds of the people we are trying to sensitize so that we can have as much as possible illicit arms retrieved. So you can see the damage being done. For arrest and prosecution, this we are talking about now rests with all security agencies in Nigeria, not just the center, but because they go out to claim that they have the same mandate as our own center that is legitimate, that is primary and legitimate, we need to do this press briefing to disabuse people's mind.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital, and it's back to Lagos.
Thanks, Terry. We continue here with security matters, and this is turning our attention to the military. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Taoreed Lagbaja, has been speaking on his vision for the Nigerian Army, fielding questions from media personalities at the International Conference Center at the University of Ibadan. Major General Lagbaja reiterated his commitment to partnering with other security agencies in ensuring that Nigeria remains safe, united, and prosperous.
The Chief of Army Staff is engaging with media executives in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The event is part of activities of the Nigerian Army at 160 and the 2023 Army Day celebration. Before the question and answer session, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Taoreed Lagbaja, maintains that the media is a critical partner in national security and the fight against crime.
Your predecessors took on different...
Responding to a question by Channels Television's Mark Ogun Yusuf on the dynamics of crime and how he hopes to deal with the emerging security threats, this is what the Army Chief has to say.
We seem to be playing catch-up with some of the security challenges that we're facing. Are we also looking ahead to security issues that could rear its head, maybe in the next couple of years, and maybe making plans towards attacking them?
The threat that confronts us
It's complex, it's adaptive, but so it is with non-state actors all over the world. So we're not playing catch-up. We are thinking to outwit them, and we are doing all we can. So if we are procuring equipment, for example, we are procuring equipment not necessarily to combat or to confront the threats that we are facing today, but we are thinking of what would the threat develop or morph into in 5-10 years' time. So we are thinking, and we are not playing catch-up at all. So we are working to not only confront today's threat, but also the evolving and future threats.
Next, he explains how he hopes to interface with other stakeholders in dealing with the nation's security challenges.
I know that war cannot be won or conflict cannot be resolved in a single domain. So in that light, I must work with sister services and other security agencies. But I have one thing going for me as the Chief of Army Staff. The other service chiefs, the Chief of Air Staff and the Chief of Naval Staff, are all my classmates who reported in NGA as a member of 39 regular corps. Not only that, we train in the same battalion, what they call house or hostel in secondary school. Even the Chief of Defense Staff train in the same battalion. So I will lean on this friendship that has been built for more than 30 years.
Going forward, the Army Chief says Nigerians should expect more from the Army in the days to come, as he hopes to improve on the standards set by his predecessors.
TomTom Candy, one of Nigeria's menthol brand under Cadbury Nigeria PLC, a subsidiary of Mondelez International, has officially launched Breathe Academy, a learning management platform for music creatives and enthusiasts. During the launch, the managing director affirmed the company's commitment to supporting young people, and that's in making a success of their creative inclinations. Breathe Academy, which has been designed for music creatives between the ages of 18 and 34, is seeking to navigate the intricacies of the music industry, providing a comprehensive curriculum that covers every facet of the business of music.
So magical, what I feel.
TomTom, one of the legacy brand on the stable of Cadbury Nigeria PLC, is up to something new and enduring.
Can't you see that this is a church that is only to serve the Lord?
With several years of success behind it, the brand wants to give back, and it's targeting the 60% group in Nigeria's population index, the youth, by saying to them, breathe for it with Breathe Academy.
It's an investment by Cadbury Nigeria PLC in music, in young talent in Nigeria, to ensure that we can excite the rest of the nation, to ensure that as we launch this platform, more young people, there are a lot of people out there too. You said 18 to 34. That's 60% of our population. Do the maths, 220 million people who we need to support. And that's why we're doing this.
For TomTom, in a bid to inspire young West Africans, has set out on a journey to reignite, refresh and revamp the brand by identifying music as the passion point to inspire, nourish and fuel the purpose of young creatives.
We're invested in discovering young music creatives, right, and then giving them a platform, one step up, right, to shine.
At the Academy, whether as an underground artist or creative, you'll be informed on how to get your career started, get to know whom to talk to, what labels to apply for, and how to refine your craft at the Breathe Academy.
You would learn about all the important types of legal documents that you would sign at some point in your career. You can't do without these legal documents. Also, we amplify the importance of legal representation, which is you don't just walk in blindly. Sometimes you need to lean on the expertise of people who know better than you do, so that you can make the best decision for yourself.
All you need to do is to visit the Academy platform, www.breatheforit with TomTom. And then you visit our pages and log into the Academy. That's all you need to do.
There will be 3 course modules with a series of topical issues. The platform will go live for at least 3 months. The top performance on the platform will now go into internships with notable music platform for another 3 months.
Business News is next. Here's Jeffrey Ozana.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Millicent, and it's now time for business news. It appears more money is expected into federal coffers as the federal government says it plans to recover 553 billion naira in unremitted taxes owed by the international petroleum shipping companies operating in Nigeria. A director at the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Abdullahi Aliyu, says that the recouping of the sum, which accrued from 2010 to 2019, will help address the nation's budget deficit. He explains that unremitted taxes will be an alternative to addressing Nigeria's economic woes instead of borrowing. Meanwhile, the price-fixing attempt by point-of-sales agents has gotten the attention of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, who are now threatening sanction on culprits. This follows recent announcement by the POS agents under the aegis of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, Lagos chapter, to increase their transaction charges. The Commission, in a statement, explained that price-fixing is against the law and distorts the market because it prevents innovation and efficiency and impacts consumers negatively. And outside Nigeria, the African Development Bank Group's Board of Directors has approved a $7.8 million grant from the Sustainable Energy Fund for Africa Energy Transition Catalyst Program. According to the Multilateral Finance Institution, the initiative aims to increase renewable energy generation across the continent. The first phase of the Mega Solar Initiative centers on the competitive procurement of 300 to 500 megawatts of solar power in Namibia and Botswana. The Debt Management Office says a $500 million Eurobond loan is due to a repayment this July in line with its terms. The external reserves have fallen by about $3 billion this year as crude oil sales continue to dwindle, and there has also been a reduction in foreign portfolio investment, which is further impacted by cash flow. However, the country's stability or ability to repay the debt has never been in doubt despite a reduction in reserves. And this is also not the first time Nigeria is repaying a Eurobond following the 2018, 2021, and 2022 repayments. Let's now head to the NGX, which reversed the losses recorded in Tuesday's session. Willie Bong has the details.
Welcome to the Stock Market Report. It's hump day and equities have made a huge rebound. The all-share index climbed today by 1.33% back to the 61,000 level we saw at intraday and recouping some of the losses recorded in yesterday's trading session. And this is thanks largely to MTN Nigeria, Lafarge, and Boa Cement. Funny thing, though, about bargain hunting, some investors took advantage of the dip in Boa Cement, which went down yesterday, and some of the other large cap stocks. And this buy interest has led to the stocks to pick up in value today. Now, let's see how the sectors performed. Banking sector is up today, making a strong recovery from yesterday's battery, and it's up today 1.89%. Investors are really bullish on the banking sector. Consumer goods also on the upside is up 0.07% today. Investors are probably reshuffling portfolios and positioning for half-year earnings report. We're going to be getting some releases from early flyers by the end of July, and we saw lower activity today when we look at that chart. It's a sea of red. Some, market news that also came in. The equity price of Ikeja Hotel was adjusted today, July the 5th, for a dividend payout of 7 kobo, and as well as the 1-for-3 bonus given to investors. We're going to be expecting that and more data in the coming weeks. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Will Ibong.
Thanks, Will. Let's find out the closing performance of some major global stock markets for Wednesday. And that's it on Business News. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Millicent is back to you.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Now to around the world, and 5 Palestinians fear violent escalation after destructive West Bank assault. Meanwhile, funerals have taken place after 2 days of clashes between Palestinian fighters and Israeli troops in the Jenin refugee camp. 12 Palestinians and 1 Israeli soldier have been killed since Israeli drones carried out airstrikes while troops engaged in firefights with armed Palestinians. Israeli military describes it as counter-terrorism operation. Well, here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international stories.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Funerals have taken place after 2 days of clashes between Palestinian fighters and Israeli troops in the Jenin refugee camp. 12 Palestinians and 1 Israeli soldier have been killed since Monday. Israeli drones carried out airstrikes while troops engaged in firefights with armed Palestinians. Israel's military described it as a counter-terrorism operation, while the Palestinian Foreign Ministry said it was an open war against the people of Jenin. More than 50 bodies remain unclaimed a month after a deadly crash killed at least 293 people in India. The accident took place in Odisha when a passenger train hit a stationary goods train and derailed onto an adjacent track. Some of the overturned coaches were then hit by another passing train. It is India's deadliest rail accident this century. The accident site has since been restored, but many families say that they're unable to find closure as they're still searching for the bodies of their loved ones.
此次洪涝灾害共造成其江区21个街镇不同程度受损。
At least 15 people have been killed over recent days and 4 people are missing after severe flooding caused by heavy rains hit China's Chongqing municipality.
暴雨级别，强降雨叠加上游来水的影响。
Footage carried by the state broadcaster showed extensive flooding, with some buildings partially submerged. China's Finance and Emergency Management Ministries announced 320 million yuan in emergency funds to aid disaster relief. Data from the US National Centers for Environmental Prediction shows that Monday, July the 3rd, was the hottest day ever recorded globally. The average temperature reached 17.01 degrees Celsius, surpassing the August 2016 record. The southwestern US has been suffering under an intense heat dome in recent weeks. In China, an enduring heat wave continued, with temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius, while North Africa has seen temperatures approaching 50 degrees Celsius.
In receiving this crown, I so promise by God's help.
King Charles has been presented with the Scottish Crown Jewels in Edinburgh during a lavish ceremony marking his coronation. Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales were also in attendance. Thousands gathered in the summer sunshine of Scotland's capital to watch pipe bands marching through the city centre. With both pro and anti-monarchy groups trying to make their presence felt in the capital.
Yes, you play well. He offers you a trial at a club abroad. He tells you he knows you'll get a contract.
Former Chelsea striker Didier Drogba says soccer players in Africa too often fall prey to fake agents peddling promises of fame and fortune.
Not so fast.
Through his foundation, Drogba has teamed up with Global Soccer Players Union, FIFPro, and the International Labour Organization to raise awareness about the risks.
Instead, they were left stranded at an airport.
The former Ivory Coast international says people need to be very careful about who they trust.
What I see, a lot of kids, I'm looking for an agent to find me a club. That's not how it works. It's your performance that gets the attention and of the clubs or of good agents, not the opposite. And then if you perform well, and an agent is coming to see you and to offer you the dream, then you have to check if he's listed in the FIFA agents list.
I think that maybe there's something on top that you can do.
And an hours-long rescue has helped free passengers stuck upside down on a roller coaster in Wisconsin in the US.
Can't see it.
8 passengers were safely rescued after the malfunction at the Forest Country Festival, called at 1:35 local time, with the last person being rescued nearly 4 hours later.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Now time for sports news. Here's Chris Illems.
Thank you, Millicent. Welcome to Sports News. World record holder Tobiloba Amusan has won a 4th title, the 100 meters hurdles, at the national trials in Benin City, ahead of the World Championship in Budapest. Amusan cruised to her 3rd successive crown in a time of 12.70 seconds in her first race in Nigeria since becoming the world champion. Faith Osamuyi finished 2nd in 13.90 seconds, while Kemi Francis Peterson 14.14 seconds earned her 3rd place.
It's just another opportunity for me, to get a racing because at the beginning of the season I was injured pretty bad and I didn't get as much races as I want to get, and I had the opportunity to come here and run at the nationals, so I just have to show up.
Kano Pillars, Katsina United and Heartland have secured promotion to the Nigeria Premier League. The 2 clubs qualified from the Northern Conference of the Nigerian National League. Katsina United confirmed their qualification after defeating Kano Pillars 1-0 in their NNL Super 8 playoffs encounter at the Stephen Keshi Stadium, Asaba, with former Enyimba forward Victor Mboma scoring the decisive goal. Pillars topped the Northern Conference standing with 6 points, with Katsina United finishing in 2nd place with the same point, but an inferior goal difference. Heartland joined Sporting Lagos from the Southern Conference after edging the Lagos-based team 2-1. The Minister of Sport, Art and Culture in South Africa today met with the country's Football Association Players Union and the Bayana before departure for the FIFA Women's World Cup. All the parties agreed to put their differences aside ahead of the major task at hand, following contract disagreement and remuneration at the tournament. That's it on Sports News. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress today closed their defense in the petition filed by Mr. Peter Obi and Labour Party against their victory in the 2023 presidential election. And the House of Representatives has set up ad hoc committee to investigate allegation of result forgery by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board against the candidate, Ms. Oma Ejikeme. Meanwhile, Ms. Ejikeme has admitted that her aggregate score in the UTME was 249. That's your news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Minister Tumoka. Have a good night and stay safe.